fake stuff and said a lot of stuff that, a person that you claim that you cool with, you would never say. So that was my big issue with him. I just know, character take you a long way, and I just don't agree with the character, actions that he took.
The problem is Terence Crawford now is really only going to want to fight for big money, and there's only certain fights that can generate that kind of money.
Following the release of the sparring footage, Terence Crawford lashes out at Floyd Mayweather, expressing his disapproval of some of Floyd's behaviors. Crawford makes it apparent that even though he says he is cool with him, he still anticipated more respect. He emphasizes that a fellow champion shouldn't have made such a move and expresses his dissatisfaction and annoyance at how private training times were made public.
I had disliked a lot of things that he was saying, and how he was acting, being that, me, I'm a real individual. I just felt like, we was all cool at one point in time. And, when the Errol Spence fight was getting mentioned and talked about and, signed, I just felt like he just did a lot of fake stuff and said a lot of stuff that, a person that you claim that you cool with, you would never say. So that was my big issue with him. I just know, character take you a long way, and I just don't agree with the character, actions that he took.
The disagreement among boxers on Crawford's next course of action is seen in Eddie Hearn's remark that Terence ought to retire. Hearn acknowledges, on the one hand, that Crawford's legacy endures. He has subdued exceptional fighters, won numerous classes, and put an end to arguments regarding his eligibility as one of the greatest of all time. Like several historical champions, he would preserve his reputation forever by retiring at such a high point. Hearn is aware of the appeal of financial stability, though. Despite the fact that the fights are not legacy-driven, Crawford might fetch record-breaking payouts because boxing is now greatly impacted by Saudi investment and cross-promotional spectacles. The allure of multimillion-dollar events may surpass the integrity of tradition. And Hearn is more aware of this equilibrium than the majority of promoters. Apologies.
Sorry?
Should Crawford retire?
Do you know what? Someone said the other day, and it's very true because I actually said it about Usyk. We've got a real tendency, haven't we, to kind of try and retire people off. Do you know what I mean? Like I said with Usyk, I think now he should retire. And everyone's like, why do you want him to retire? It's like, I just think it's a great way to go out. I actually also think that Crawford could move down and win a world title at 160. And that would make him, what, 6 division champ? 5, 35, 40, 47, 54, 6 division champion. But the problem is Terence Crawford now is really only going to want to fight for big money, and there's only certain fights that can generate that kind of money. So Shakur, he was obviously very close to him, seemed to say, so maybe that's it.
According to Floyd Schofield, Terence Crawford ought to take a break now. He believes that Crawford has already achieved all the qualities that make a boxer great. Establishing himself as a pound-for-pound king, taking home titles from many divisions, and outlasting the greatest opponents of his day. Schofield is implying that taking any further chances could be needless, without casting doubt on Crawford's abilities or legacy. He makes the case that Crawford should only face hungry new opponents like Frank Martin or Virgil Ortiz if he fights again. This demonstrates a generational change as newer fighters seek to test Crawford's ability to handle the new wave's aggressiveness. However, Schofield conveys a respectful message. He feels that Crawford has nothing more to prove and that his record would be perfect if he departed now. For him, at its height, Crawford's legacy is already safe and best maintained.
I feel like Crawford, he could retire if he wants. I feel like if he does get another fight, I would love to see him in there with Virgil or Jerron. I feel like those are both great fights, but those are fights we just got to see. We just got to see those fights before. I feel like those are the only 2 fights I would entertain.
Not a rematch? Maybe a rematch with Crawford and Canelo?
I feel like it wasn't close enough. It wasn't close enough.
Really?
If it was close, maybe, but it just was like, it wasn't close.
Among boxing fans, this notion continues to spark contentious discussions. Due to their respective representations of total mastery of the sport in their respective times, the idea of a prime Floyd versus a prime Crawford dominates online conversations. Floyd was invincible due to his superior ring IQ and defensive prowess. However, Crawford has been able to destroy every opponent thanks to his versatility and finishing instincts. However, the truth is harsh. Mayweather is past his best fighting years and lacks his previous stamina and reflexes. A showdown in the present day would be more of a spectacle than a real test. And for that reason, the many game angles are emphasized. It's likely that the fantasy of their primes colliding will stay a fantasy.
So yeah, everybody, so this is a good question that the ring put out. So Terence Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather, a fantasy fight that will never happen. Now, this is a really good question. Who will win between these two? Me personally, if this was old Floyd Mayweather, well, I'm going to say pretty boy Floyd, I'm talking about like the younger version of Floyd Mayweather wins. You're talking probably prime Floyd Mayweather versus prime Terence Crawford. You could see Floyd Mayweather beating Terence Crawford, but you're talking about money Floyd versus Terence Crawford. I see Terence Crawford stopping him in the later rounds due to Floyd Mayweather's passive style and Philly shell. I believe he'll melt. Terence Crawford would just break him, I think. People forget what Manny Pacquiao was able to do on Floyd Mayweather, have success with him certain parts of the fight, and people just need to see, Floyd Mayweather's, I would say, fights, later down the years. I think Crawford would just be able to break that defense. I don't know. The thing is about Terence Crawford, he has a very, very awkward style, very awkward foot movement and footwork. This is the thing. A lot of people were thinking, no, nobody beats Floyd. Or if you try to compare somebody else, no, this man will beat Floyd. Floyd would beat everybody. I don't think it's a case of Terence Crawford, everybody. I think Terence Crawford would have been the man to actually beat Floyd. Honestly, for what he did to Canelo Alvarez, he beat a 168 Canelo Alvarez. 168 Canelo Alvarez.
Although significant, statistics and accoutrements do not always define brilliance in a head-to-head sense, as analysts have been cautious to note. Few people can match Floyd's 50-0 record and his ability to remain unbeaten for generations. In contrast, Crawford is uncontested throughout a number of categories. A feat Floyd was never able to accomplish in his day. Because achievements from several eras cannot be directly placed against one another, the comparison becomes complex. Crawford's resume is based on clear, definitive triumphs, but Floyd's is filled with well-known names and impressive pay-per-view figures. According to the analysts, having more accomplishments on paper does not equate to becoming a superior boxer in the ring. Timing, manner, and context all play a role.
Floyd Mayweather versus Terence Crawford is the topic of this video, and someone posted this: number of world champion fighters beaten, Floyd with 23, Terence with only 11. But my response to this is, being more accomplished does not mean you're better than someone. By example, Canelo has 18 former world champions beaten, Terence has 11, so you could argue that Canelo's more accomplished. Meanwhile, Terence just whooped him over the course of 12 rounds over the weekend. We all saw it. Plus, more accomplished fighters lose to lesser accomplished fighters all the time, so that's a bad argument. Let's talk skill for skill. Terence Crawford has knockout power in both hands. He can switch stances. He's not a stationary target. He has good footwork. He knows how to counterpunch. He knows how to fight on the outside and on the inside. He can make it dirty. He knows how to box and he knows how to fight. There's a difference. Guys like Shakur Stevenson, for example, they know how to box. When it comes to actually getting down and dirty, the jury is still out on one Shakur Stevenson, just by example. Terence Crawford, I think, if you look at the names on Floyd's list here, Manny Pacquiao, Canelo, Marcos Maidana, Cotto, and the list goes on and on, I think Terence Crawford has a shot at beating all those guys. I don't think anybody on that list jumps off the page and goes, oh my God, I think he smokes Terence Crawford. You can't say that about anybody on any of these guys' lists and names here. So yeah, that's my take on this, man. Maybe the only guy is Gennady Golovkin. I could see Gennady Golovkin giving Terence a really hard fight, especially at that weight. But remember, Canelo lost to Gennady. Gennady shouldn't even be on this list. He's only on the list because the judges are in Canelo's back pocket. So, you know, that's a whole nother argument. But yeah, that's my take on this, guys. Skill for skill, Terence Crawford might be one of the best of all time. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to accept that, guys. It's fine. Let me know what you think in the comments below, whether you agree or disagree. It doesn't matter. Just join the discussion, subscribe for more, and leave a like if you enjoyed the time spent. Thank you. You are all appreciated.
Because he has personally experienced Mayweather's skill and is aware of what it takes to compete at the greatest level, Zab Judah's remarks are significant. His acknowledgement of Crawford as this era's king highlights how each generation creates its own unique masterpiece. Judah even brought up Canelo Alvarez's earlier suggestion that Crawford would be superior to Floyd, which generated countless discussions among the fans. Crawford's ability to subdue elite opponents throughout divisions demonstrates his combat completeness, according to Judah. Crawford has maintained his strength, timing, and poise throughout every class, in contrast to many boxers who find it difficult to increase in weight. Judah's support seems to be a symbolic handover, recognizing that although Floyd dominated his era, Crawford is currently in charge.
The punch can knock him out, you know what I'm saying? The size will be a factor. None of that was nothing.
How did you score it?
Huh?
How did you score the fight?
I think I gave Canelo about 3 rounds. About
Really?
3 rounds. Yeah, about 3 rounds. How did you score? You just score about sound about fair?
What's that?
Sounds about right?
I had it closer, but there's loads of different scores.
Okay, 2 rounds.
You gave him 2 rounds.
I had 2 rounds. Yeah, he didn't do anything. I gave him a possible 3 rounds. So if I play space, we gave him 2 in a possible.
Where did you put him in the all-time list? 5-weight world champion,
Who?
3-weight undisputed, Terence Crawford.
Who?
Terence Crawford.
He's number 1 right now. Number 1. This is his generation. This is his timeline. He is the king right now.
Just seen in the press conference, Canelo said that Crawford's better than Mayweather. What do you think?
He's not lying. He fought him. He should know. How can somebody tell somebody that fought both of these guys, that, he know.
Yeah.
If anybody would know, Canelo would know.
What do you think's next for both?
I don't know.
Too early? You'd like to see a rematch?
Probably rematch. Rematches always sound good. But in a rematch, it'd be the same thing.
Yeah. Cool.
Matter of fact, in a rematch, I'm predicting stoppage earlier.
Yeah. I think so too.
Yeah, I think so.
What's up?
My boy's the dog.
Sure.
Trust me.
Thank you.
I was watching Bill City. That's right.
Crawford underlined that because Canelo has first-hand knowledge with both methods, his viewpoint is more reliable than that of the majority of fans or pundits. Crawford did clarify, though, that the situation was very different. When Floyd was younger, raw, and still learning, he engaged in combat with Canelo. Although Crawford fought him as an experienced super middleweight champion, this distinction is significant because it illustrates how timing affects boxing results. For Crawford, defeating an older and more seasoned Canelo has a different significance than Floyd training a younger one. By bringing this out, Crawford respectfully upholds Mayweather's historical background while tactfully defending his own victory.
He was in the ring with both of us, so a lot of people, they can say what they want, but he's actually been in the ring with both of us. One where he felt like he was at the best, and another where he felt like he was at a disadvantage when he had a rehydration clause and he was younger. So, I don't know, I don't go off of that. Floyd is the best fighter, in his era, and I feel like I'm the best fighter in my era.
One thing that I thought was really interesting about the fight, I always love watching you switch stances as effortlessly as you do. You didn't do that a lot in this fight. You didn't have to. Were you expecting not to have to?
No, I felt like I could have, but why do something when something else is working?
Easy answer.
The foundation of Jeff Mayweather's defense of Floyd is the notion that when comparing careers, people frequently forget context. Floyd had lost his physical prime by the time he encountered Canelo. He was depending less on explosiveness or speed and more on timing, reflexes, and experience. Jeff maintains that Floyd's full neutralization of a dangerous young opponent should not be forgotten in spite of this rejection. Since they were two entirely different stages in each man's career, he believes it is inappropriate to compare Floyd's and Crawford's renditions of Canelo. Jeff's remarks demonstrate how boxing history is frequently altered without taking into account all of the specifics of each bout.
Well, also if we remember, Canelo at that time was a razor-thin decision. Floyd won, majority decision. C.J. Ross had it with what a lot of people had as a draw. And then the other two judges scored it for Floyd, of course. And that was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience, and he still took him, into deep waters. So
yeah, what was Canelo? What, 20-something? 20 what? 23, 25?
Yeah, he was. Very, very young in the game, obviously.
Very young. He had more fights than Floyd, and he lost.
Yeah, but
a man that was 30-something years old, 36.
But Floyd was clearly at the top of his career, and Canelo had fought a lot of people,
How are you at the top of your career in your prime? You ain't in your prime when you're at 36. That's not your prime.
Did he lose?
20s.
I mean,
your prime is in your 20s.
It's different for different people.
Yeah, okay. Well, so, and that's why Canelo is saying what he's saying.
But
want to make himself look like he did something great.
Crawford's genius was encapsulated in Buddy McGirt's appraisal. He emphasized how Crawford dominated the fight from beginning to end, controlling the pace, distance, and exchanges. Crawford never let Canelo dictate the pace, in contrast to many of his previous rivals who were caught in his traps. This degree of authority made McGirt think of Floyd's ability to outsmart opponents. However, he emphasized that Crawford used violence and finishing instincts to add his own flavor. McGirt saw the victory as more than just a triumph. Crawford made the claim that he should be included in any conversation regarding the best technicians in sports history.
Yes.
Like, what fight were they watching?
Right.
I mean, it's. I don't know, man. I don't know what some of these guys be doing in this game, man. Some people, in situations like that, they should ask them, listen, just turn in your license, bro. Because there's no way in hell the fight was that close.
Right.
I mean, come on, man. It's just, it's not fair. It's not fair. You get a guy like Terence got here and dominate from beginning to end, and then you find out he needed the last 2 rounds to win. That's scary, man.
It is. And you see how you just mentioned scary. Now, a lot of people are saying, buddy, that type of beating, he's not going to want a rematch. But looking at those scorecards and knowing that, hey, you wasn't too far behind, even though, he did mention that, he's better than Mayweather. But, I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you feel like that was such a beating that Canelo wouldn't want a rematch?
No, I think that, in all honesty, personally, I think that Canelo's at that stage in his career right now, that it's a rematch he don't need. He don't need it. You know what I mean? What we saw that night, that's the stage Canelo's at right now. I mean, he's fought everybody, he's did everything, but you know what I mean? He passed the torch to the right guy. You know what I mean? He passed the torch to the right guy. You know what I mean? He lost it to Terence fair and square, and he passed the torch. So if you're gonna have another fight, cool, but you don't need to. You have nothing. He has nothing to prove. He fought Terence and nobody else would.
The analyst clarified that Mayweather became a worldwide sensation due to his charisma and ability to position himself as both a hero and a villain. Fans watched to see his brilliance or to watch for his demise, thus his winning run held a lot of weight. Crawford, however, has never sold a lot of pay-per-view content. However, critics think this shouldn't detract from his unadulterated combat prowess. Given his innate ability to change stances, manage range, and effectively finish opponents, some contend that Crawford's skill may even outstrip Floyd's. Crawford, who is calculating but brutal, is just as hard to defeat as Floyd, who was defensive and careful, but more thrilling to observe.
Terence Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather Jr. Who wins this fight? I'm going with Terence Crawford, and I don't think that's unpopular or crazy to say. I think most people will agree with me. I understand Floyd Mayweather has a lot of fans out there, but the truth is, as great as Floyd Mayweather is, Terence Crawford is one of one. And I say that because who else has knockout power in both hands, is able to switch stances between orthodox and southpaw so seamlessly while having great footwork? It's not like Terence Crawford is some stationary target or a flat-footed fighter that's going to be chasing Floyd around. Terence Crawford knows how to cut the ring off. He has tremendous ring IQ. And not only is he a great boxer, but he's a great fighter. He'll be able to make it dirty. If he is on the inside with Floyd, that power will carry him far. And I just don't see how Floyd will be able to beat a Terence Crawford. I really don't see it. I understand Floyd's defense is incredible, but he is smaller than Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford would have a significant reach advantage on Floyd Mayweather. I believe Terence Crawford would also be taller than Floyd Mayweather, as well as all the skillful and technical aspects of what I just laid out prior. So I don't understand how anybody could pick Floyd Mayweather to beat Terence Crawford. Styles make fights, and I believe Terence has the style to beat one Floyd Mayweather. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Whether you agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. Join the discussion, subscribe for more, and leave a like if you enjoyed the time spent. Thank you. You are all appreciated.
That concludes the video for today. Keep an eye out. Till the next time.